So good morning again, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday Shorts Club, which is actually a very special Shorts Club event. So before anything else, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Aubrey Morla, a graduate of the OMMC surgery, general surgery residency, and previous chief resident. So for today, as I said, we have a very special Shorts Club activity, which is meant to inspire our residents, our PGIs, our interns, and our clerks. So this reminds us that even the great ones had to start somewhere. So before anything else, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our chairman, Dr. Jeffy Guerra, our consultants, Dr. Pensurga, Dr. Villanueva, Dr. Celso, Dr. Miranda, Dr. Chorino Alves, Dr. Velez, and one of our speakers for today, the esteemed Dr. Hoson. So the title of our event for today is Surgery Training Across Generation, an inspirational talk from the mentors. So before anything else, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute their microphones as we go on the program. And I hope that you may get inspired as we have intended to by our esteemed guests and mentors. So as you all know, all the great ones had to initially endure hardships at the beginning, and I hope personally that this inspires all our residents and our clerks and interns. So for our invocation, may I call on Dr. Gerard Gaspilio.
Good morning. Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord our God, with all our hearts, we come before your countenance. Our hearts shall always be in your presence, asking, longing, and believing that you will guide our affairs. Protect us, for you are our God and our Father. Protect all who are in danger and who must go into danger. Make known your great love and your living presence to the hearts of the dying. Draw our hearts together so that we may have community in you, our faith and hope set on you alone. Protect us during the night and help us to be at peace about all our concerns, because they are in your hands. Every concern of every person is in your hands. We ourselves are in your hands, Lord God, our Father, and there we want to remain. Your hands can heal and restore everything. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Gaspilio. Before we start, if there are other attendees, they may also access this this Zoom conference via Facebook Live and YouTube. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker for today. I'm sorry. So, before anything else, may I welcome Dr. Jeffy Guerra to welcome everybody to our event.
Yeah, thank you, Aubrey. Before we proceed with our main activity for today, let me welcome all of you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. In behalf of the consultant and resident staff of the department, I would like to welcome you all on our weekly Saturday Swartz Club activity, this time entitled Surgery Training Across Generations, Inspirational Talk from the Mentors. It is my honor and privilege to welcome back our mentors to share their time and thoughts on how to survive the general surgery training. Tips and tricks, if you may. They have been through all the life stages of being a surgeon, from the time they were a trainee to becoming a trainer and administrator as well. Their invaluable insights, I am pretty sure, will help a would-be surgeon to be inspired amidst the rigors and training, especially at this particular time. Our esteemed speakers for today, in one way or another, made a mark during our time when we were residents, and even during medical school. OM surgery and PLM graduates can attest to this. Dr. Pinserga and Dr. Mirasol Lumage were my teachers in Surgery 1 and 2 at the Pamantasan, while Dr. Hoson was my chairman during my residency days, that was around 2003 to 2008. And Dr. Penserga was my research advisor back then, as well as my chair when I was the TO. Wise and I shared some time during and after our residency. Their insights and lessons from the past can be bridged today so that our dear residents can appreciate how privileged they are to be trained in surgery. This will also serve as a reminder to us, being the active trainers now, to carry on the task handed to us by our mentors in order to continually strive to improve the training climate of general surgery. Also, I would like to thank Cecil and Glenn for coming up with this activity as an icebreaker from our routine Saturday Swartz Club. No doubt, after the end of this activity, our residents will be more inspired, equipped, and resilient in facing the challenges ahead. Again, welcome and enjoy the morning's conference.
Thank you, Dr. Guerra. So to proceed, may I introduce our first speaker for this morning, Dr. Edelweiss Pedrialva. So Dr. Pedrialva is a graduate of the University of Santo Tomas Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, and she finished her general surgery residency training with us at Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center. So currently, she is a fellow of the Philippine College of Surgeons, Philippine Society of General Surgeons, Philippine College of Hospital Administrators, Philippine Association of Laparoscopic and Endoscopic Surgeons, and a member of the Philippine Association of Women Surgeons. So currently, she is an active consultant at Calamba Doctors Hospital and an active consultant and previous chair of the Surgery Department and head of Emergency Department at Global Medical Center of Laguna. She is currently the Chief of Clinics and the previous Surgery Department Chair at Global Care Medical Center of Canlubang. Ladies and gentlemen, our very own, Dr. Edelweiss Pedrialva.
Good morning, everyone. Before I even begin with my talk, I want to pose a question to our surgery residents. Why are you in surgery? I am Dr. Edelweiss Velasquez Pedrialva. I was requested by Dr. Ceci Layson and Dr. Glenn Villanueva to say a few things to hopefully inspire present and future surgical residents, since I believe a few clerks and interns will be listening to this as well, to push forward with your training. Because sometimes when you feel like you are at your breaking point, all it takes is a little nudge from somebody to light your fire again and keep you going. Let's hope we accomplish that today. Ever since I was a kid, I really wanted to become a doctor, nothing else. Back then, my idea of a doctor, maybe because of what I saw in the movies, is somebody who goes to the operating room, fixes the patient up, and then goes out to talk to the patient's family to say the operation was a success. So that early, I envisioned myself to be just that, a surgeon. That became my long-term goal, my lifelong dream. And all my short-term goals were aimed towards achieving my childhood dream of becoming a knife-wielding doctor. When it was my time to choose where I will go to college and even med school, isa lang talaga ang gusto ko. I only applied to one school. I prayed back then that if God wants me to be a doctor, He will help me get in the school that I want. I graduated from the University of Santo Tomas, by the way, for both my bachelor and doctorate degree. After graduating from med school, I chose a government hospital for my internship because I wanted to get a glimpse of what's in store for me during residency training. After passing the medical boards, I asked myself again, do you really want to be a surgeon? The answer back then was still a resounding yes. I initially applied for pre-residency at Jose R. Reyes Memorial Medical Center. But after a few weeks of evaluating myself and how they conducted training there, I decided that that hospital was not for me. That was when I applied to Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center. And during my initial interview with then Chief Res Dr. Ceci Layson and the incoming Chief, the late Dr. Mujer, I remember being asked jokingly, sigurado ka ba gusto mo dito? Walang malinis na CR dito. But I knew what I wanted, so I said yes. I spent the last quarter of 2006 running around the halls of Hospital ng Maynila, trying to do anything and everything that my seniors asked me to do. And fortunately, I was accepted in the program and I officially started my residency on January of 2007. I am not here to tell you that I had it better back then. During residency, I experienced a lot of challenges and difficulties. I believe that general surgery is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult of all specialty training programs. It was hard before my time. It was hard during my time. And I believe that it's still very hard now. Why? Because it's supposed to be like that. Surgery is not meant to be a walk in the park. You have a lot to learn in the 5 years that you will spend in training. And by that, I mean learn not just with your mind, but especially with your hands. So what are these difficulties that I'm talking about? On top of my list would probably be the workload, closely followed by logistics in Hospital ng Maynila. Back then, we went on 24-hour duty every 3 days, which we all know is not really 24 hours. If you admitted patients for emergency surgeries during your tour of duty, you and your entire team cannot go home until you have operated on all of them. So how long does that take? Forever. Hospital ng Maynila, being a government hospital, caters to a lot of patients not just from Manila, but from nearby provinces as well. Imagine no OR needs, no available operating room since there's always a battle among different surgical specialties for an OR suite. Less than helpful anesthesiologists, and the list goes on and on. Before you know it, your from duty status has already rolled into your pre-duty status, then back again. There is no way really around the heavy workload. You just have to grin and bear it. You wake up, you dress up, you show up, you recharge on repeat every day for 5 years. The upside, you get better. More the merrier. More patience means more pagod, but if you deal with it the right way, you will definitely have a lot of learnings. And those learnings, you will use for the rest of your life. Back then, I also dreaded the conferences, especially when I have a case to present. Who wouldn't, right? The night before, you have half a dozen books open in front of you with zero idea where to begin reading. And even if by some miracle you were able to read, your neurons will betray you once you get the hot seat. Because a lot of people would rather die than talk in public. Add the fact that our dear consultants seem to have a copy of the secret book of the most difficult questions in surgery. So yeah, What to do? Keep on studying. Study before a case, study after a case, study during your free time. Study, study, study. And don't think that studying will stop after training, because cliche as it may sound, learning should never stop. If it is any consolation to you, I still study up to now, and I'm sure so does all the self-respecting surgeons out there. Another struggle I had when I was a resident, particularly when I was a first year, was the hierarchy. We all know that. When you are positioned at the bottom of the ladder, you get stepped on the most. Why was it a struggle for me? Because I'm used to getting what I want. Nobody tells me what to do, so just imagine being at the beck and call of everyone in the department. It was hard, but I thought whatever doesn't kill me will only make me stronger. I realized that when you choose to enter a program, you would have to forget whoever you are outside of the hospital. There's no room for anak ako ni senator, ninong ko si mayor, di nga ako nagtatrabaho sa bahay. When you choose to train, be prepared to be trained. And that entails humility and accepting that, yep, you still have a lot to learn. And to learn, you have to be teachable. Accept it when you did something wrong, and more importantly, don't do it again. So the bottom line is, you should know what you want. And once you decide what you want, you should learn to love your decision. Being in love with what you do is the only way you will survive in training. Walang pinagkaiba yan sa love life. It is always easy to let go and neglect somebody you don't love. But for somebody you love, especially someone you have dreamt of having for a long time, lahat kakayanin. Nothing is easy in this world. If the simplest and easiest of things, pag di mo gusto, mahirap gawin, right? Kahit yung simpleng pagbangon lang sa umaga para pumasok, it will be a daunting task. But if you know your dream and you want it so badly, you can and you will do it. Not everyone is born with the hands of a surgeon, but more than the hands, it is the heart that matters. Pusong Serrano, only some have it. So at the end of the day, if you know in your heart that you gave it your all, you will be proud of yourself. If there's one thing I'd like for you guys to remember from my short talk, it is this: dream big. But for you to realize those dreams, you have to wake up and work your butt off. Walang pangarap na nilalapag lang sa harap nyo, okay? You are given this opportunity, make the most out of it. Outdo yourself every day. And trust me, when you go out of training, you will be proud that you trained in Hospital ng Maynila. Thank you guys and have a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Pedialva, for that very inspiring talk. If I may say, there are many, many quotable quotes from that. And to say the least, I've had a lot of goosebumps moments from your speech. Thank you very much. And as they say, no surgery resident survives alone. If we may call on one of Dr. Pedrialva's contemporaries, Dr. Celso, to give a short testimonial of their experience as residents during their time. Dr. Celso.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, sir.
O nga, no? So I was given the task to give a testimonial for Doctora Pedreal was inspiring talk. So actually, Doctora Pedrialba was my senior back then. So he is a proud graduate of our department. And she was known to her colleagues and junior as Doc Wise or Mami Wise because sobrang strict niya. Tapos medyo, and aside from being strict, sobrang nanay na nanay talaga. So yun, true enough, as a surgeon, she truly has a pusong and kamay ng Cirujano. So sobrang meticulous niya sa mga sa technique. So mabusisi, kumbaga. So and back then she was from what I remember, she was one of the twin towers of surgery, yung sinasabi namin. Kasama niya si Doc Mitch, Doktora Melendres. So kasi sobrang tapang niya, especially sa ER. So ayaw niya na yung may naaapi, ayaw niya yung um, ini-small yung mga junior niya. So yun, ganun siya. And during residency training, I was one of the lucky juniors who was under her wings. So most of my techniques and the greater part of my career as a surgeon was well, because of her. So ang hindi ko lang namana sa kanya yung mga hugot lines niya, yung mga ganun. So yun. So anyway, so yun, being mentor, sobrang thankful na naging under ako sa kanya. So and part of me being a surgeon was, you know, be thankful na siya yung naging senior ko. So at that time. So yun lang. And I hope na yung inspirational talk ni Doktora medyo na-impart sa mga residents natin. Kasi hindi naman talaga madali mag-training, especially sa surgery. Ang tagal-tagal ng training ng surgery. Diba? 5 years. But if you really have the reason or purpose na gustong-gusto niyo yung ginagawa niyo, yung 5 years, mabilis lang yun. Sobrang bilis lang yun. And when you look back after your residency training, masasabi mo na, oh, kung ano, nakaka-enjoy pala yung surgery. So, yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Celso. So as Dr. Pedrialba said, surgery is hard before, surgery is hard now. So it just matters. It just differs in time. So if we may proceed to our next speaker.
Aubrey, if I may, before we proceed, can I also make a comment?
Yes, Dr. Guerra.
Yeah. These people, the batch of Wise, Joma, Mitch, okay, sino pa bang kabatch niya? Si
Doc Mike, sir.
Doc Mike, sir. Doc Mike, sir.
Yeah, I am very proud that they are all now fellows of the colleges, different colleges. No? So again, don't take it wrong. Na surgery is hard. Yeah, it's really hard. No, it's not walk in the park. But during our time, I think they were second or third year. We always find time to unload our stress. No, from small things like jogging sa Baywalk. We do that. We frequently dine out. So you just have to balance everything out, because without balancing everything, yun yung burnout na pupunta sa inyo, no? So I guess looking back, your mentors, your contemporaries, are very proud of all your achievements, lalo na dito sa batch na ito. Okay? So yun lang Aubrey.
Thank you po, sir. So we have more to come. For our next speaker, may I introduce Dr. Maria Rica Lumage. Dr. Lumage is a graduate of our College of Medicine, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila College of Medicine, and obtained her general surgery residency training at Rizal Medical Center, where she was chief resident from 1995 to 1996. So she obtained her Master's of Hospital Administration at the College of Public Health at UP Manila, and she is a fellow of various societies: the Philippine College of Surgeons, Philippine Society of General Surgeons, Philippine Association of Laparoscopic and Endoscopic Surgeons, Philippine Society of Oncologists, and American College of Surgeons. So she is also a member of the Philippine Association of Training Officers in Surgery, and a founding member of the Philippine Breast Cancer Society and Philippine Society of Breast Surgeon. She is a general and laparoscopic surgeon who is a member of the training committee of the surgery department at Cardinal Santos Medical Center and a visiting consultant at the Medical City. So she was a previous lecturer at the College of Medicine at PLM and an examiner at of the Philippine Board of Surgery from 2002 up to present. So she was the chief training officer at Rizal Medical Center from 2008 to 2016 and a member of the board of directors of the Philippine Board of Surgery from 2015 up to now, where she was the chairperson in 2018. She was the chief of medical professional staff at Rizal Medical Center and a director of the Philippine Board of Surgery from 2020 to 2022. She is the current director of the PCS Metro Manila chapter and the vice president of the Association of Women Surgeons of the Philippines. She is currently the medical center chief 2 at Rizal Medical Center. Amongst the many other achievements, she has also published numerous journals and local monographs. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Rica Lumage.
A blessed morning to all. I'm delighted to be part of today's surgery training across generations, inspirational talk from the mentors. Thank you, Dr. Jeffy, for inviting me, Dr. Glenn, for your gracious coordination, and especially Dr. Penserga for suggesting that I have something worthy to share that will hope to inspire and encourage the young generation of future surgeons in Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center. Please allow me to share my personal journey with its highlights, what I learned along the way, and how I overcame the challenges I faced. Would you believe that at the very tender age of 7, I decided I wanted to be a surgeon? This was greatly influenced by my cousin who lived with us during that time as a medical student in UERM. I found myself fascinated by the things I saw in his textbooks. I seriously followed his career until he became a neurosurgeon. Of course, that was what I wanted to become too. The first challenge in our family happened when my dad became unfaithful to my mom and abandoned us when I was in college at the University of the Philippines in Diliman, where I took up and completed my BS Biology course. This was the most difficult time for my mom, my ate, and me. We learned to rely on each other, be content with what we could afford, and became committed to make something better of the life we were dealt with. It was during this time that I used my talent in dance to earn some money by doing choreography and dancing professionally. Well, I happened to be a student of the famous choreographer Douglas Nieras, and it was him who invited me to be part of his group that performed in Gary V's first movie, Hot Shots. You can Google that in YouTube. Also, I sold items to friends like sweaters from Baguio, novelty items such as peanuts and Felix the Cat pencil cases and metal bags, which were the in thing then. It was in college that I began a personal relationship with Jesus. I realized that I could not save myself and make something good out of my life that was wholly and completely pleasing to God. All my achievements could not satisfy me nor earn God's favor. It was the humble surrender of a contrite heart that Jesus desired. So, on November 6, 1983, I committed my life to Christ, that He is my Savior and my Lord. I gave Him control over my life to make me the kind of person He wants me to be and to order my life according to His will. It has been an exciting adventure and discovery ever since. The next hurdle was whether we could afford medical school. By God's divine intervention, my mom discovered the scholarship program of the Manila government at the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila College of Medicine. As if by some divine blueprint, I was able to complete my Doctor of Medicine degree from this university where we started as a class of more than 100. I graduated with a rank of 10th out of 56 graduates. All of this with very minimal cost to our family. It was our batch which was honored during the physician's oath-taking ceremony at the PICC because of the 100% passing rate for that year, 1991. Indeed, God has proven himself faithful once again. To add to this, it was during medical school that I had the privilege of meeting another surgeon who would define my experience and influence my pursuit of becoming a surgeon. He was Dr. Marcelino Reyes, the father of a dear friend and a pioneer of plastic and reconstructive surgery with subspecialty in hand surgery in the Philippines. He invited me to scrub in his cases at the Capital Medical Center, even when I was just a first year medical student. He taught me his techniques and innovative operations, but more importantly, he modeled for me the impeccable work ethic of a brilliant surgeon. His due diligence in the preparation for every patient, gracious in speech, compassionate towards his patients, humble in demeanor, and a dedicated team player. His mentorship shaped and directed my definite steps towards fulfilling my goal. It was Dr. Rachel Cruz who mentioned that there was a plastic and reconstructive surgery program, now known as Consortium 1, at the Rizal Medical Center in Pasig. Though not being able to enter the general surgery residency program at the UPPGH was a major setback for me, it proved to be a blessing in disguise because this led me to enter the general surgery residency training in Rizal Medical Center. It was in Rizal Med where I received the training I needed, met the important and influential mentors in my career, which paved the way for me to achieve what I would consider an unplanned career path. Being the only female resident at the time posed some peculiar obstacles, which turned out to be an avenue to change traditional and old-fashioned way of thinking. Also, as a Christian, there were specific instances where standing firm on personal convictions led to earning the respect of those in authority. I was carefully and intentionally mentored by Dr. Ernesto Tan, the chairman of the Department of Surgery. He was instrumental in introducing me to the Philippine College of Surgeons, where I now serve as chairman and member of several committees, and to the Philippine Board of Surgery, where I served as the very first lady chairperson in its 49 years of existence in 2018, and where I continue to serve as a member of the board of directors to this day. As part of my clinical rotation in the training program, I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Samuel Ang, who was then the chairman of the surgery department in Cardinal Santos Medical Center. He introduced me to the clinical observership program in surgical oncology at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City in the US, where he trained as a fellow and where I had the opportunity to complete my clinical observership in 1998. It was in Rizal Med that I met Dr. Relita Sakilayan, who was the chief training officer of the hospital during the period of my training. He was instrumental in my being designated as the chief training officer of Rizal Med in 2008 to 2016, then appointed as chief of medical professional staff 2 in 2016 to 2021, and medical center chief 2 on June 17, 2021. He was the one who also encouraged me to pursue and complete my master in hospital administration course at the University of the Philippines College of Public Health in Manila. That was in 2008-2011. As you can glean from these experiences, there were several mentors that made an indelible mark in my surgical journey. This would prove to be the compelling force that moved me to follow in their footsteps to mentor the next generation of surgeons, whether it be academically or even helping them navigate the intricacies of balancing their family life and private practice, or just being a friend, walking alongside them as they face their personal battles with illness and loss, as well as celebrating their triumphs. Upon my return to the Philippines in 1998, I embarked on the journey of clinical private practice at Cardinal Santos Medical Center, the Medical City, Mission Hospital, and several other hospitals. This was partnered by serving as a professor in the College of Medicine in Pamantasan ng Luzon, Manila, teaching surgery to second-year medical students for 6 years, and at the same time served as a proctor to the third-year medical students. This was also the time I joined OM as a visiting consultant, helping in the training of the surgery residents. It was only in 2001 that I joined the surgery consultant staff of Rizal Medical Center as a surgeon in the tumor clinic, mostly attending to cancer patients. Later, as my career path in this hospital was clearly directed towards top management, striking a balance between my private practice and government service proved to be a very challenging and at the same time a rewarding one. It was also in Rizal Med that I was introduced to the Department of Health Rizal Cancer Registry, where I served as head from 2005 to 2020, and through which I worked closely with Dr. Adriano Laudico, past president of the Philippine College of Surgeons and project director of the Philippine Cancer Society Manila Cancer Registry. Dr. Laudico happens to be the father of the famous chef Rolando Laudico, or Chef Lau, as he is more commonly called. It was Dr. Laudico who mentored me in the field of research and cancer epidemiology. It is through our collaboration that paved the way for me to publish both locally and internationally researches about cancer and cancer statistics. Information that helped the Department of Health plan and implement programs on cancer control, particularly breast cancer. Through the registry, I became known in the international community of cancer epidemiologists and the International Agency for Research on Cancer, where I had the opportunity to receive training in cancer epidemiology, cancer coding, cancer survival, and cancer reporting. The most heartrending challenge was when my only sister was diagnosed with stage 1 triple negative breast cancer at the age of 37. She was treated with surgery and chemotherapy. After 2 years, her cancer recurred, for which she underwent another operation and received multiple chemotherapy and radiation treatments, some of them in the context of clinical trials in California. She succumbed to her death at the age of 43 due to sepsis secondary to pneumonia. During this time, I visited her frequently in San Diego, where she lived, to accompany her in the treatments and to help out in the running of their household, composed of her husband and 3 children. It was a time of bonding, reminiscing, and strengthening of our relationship, which grew deeper and lovelier as we aged further. Having shared so many wonderful and meaningful moments with her has made her passing bearable. Losing my sister was painful, but I am confident that she is in a better place and that I will see her again when the time comes. To my lady surgeon friends, we joke about my married status as the reason why they consider me their quote unquote lodi, as if it is something of an achievement. Kidding aside, it was in Green Hills Christian Fellowship where I met my husband Aris, who became my best friend, prayer partner, and encourager. He worked for Meralco as an electrical engineer for over 20 years and retired at the age of 43 by personal choice as he planned to devote his life to ministry. We are blessed with 2 sons, AJ, who is 21 years old and a third-year BS psychology student at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and a DOST scholar, and Ryan, who is 18 years old and a grade 12 student at the Makati Science High School, making him a scholar of Makati. Ryan has applied to 4 universities for college, hoping to get into their BS biology program come August of this year. I can say that God has given me what I asked for, becoming a surgeon and having significant relationships. And He has also given me what I have not asked for, a flourishing career as an administrator and a healthcare provider, as well as a happy and satisfying marriage and family life. It is my belief that it is the position that seeks the person and not the other way around. In my own journey, this has been the reality. As long as I am faithful in the tasks that have been assigned to me and committed to being excellent at what I do, God continues to assign new and more exciting tasks for which He equips me to fulfill them intellectually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. As the Medical Center Chief 2 of Rizal Medical Center, I am confident that this is the position God has assigned to me. Therefore, He has already equipped me, and He will continue to do so in order for me to fulfill it to the best of my ability. My mentors have been gracious and generous with their time and expertise in their own significant ways to prepare me for the tasks that I will face. I too have prepared myself by going through training, engaging in activities that hone my leadership, analytical, problem solving, and interpersonal skills, as well as being involved in the mainstream administration life of Rizal Med. There are still many goals to achieve for our hospital, such as streamlining of our processes, strengthening our very important human resource, inculcating a dynamic customer service culture, and facilities improvement and upgrading. I suppose that continuing quality improvement is a constant in any center that aims to be much better all the time, never resting on our past laurels and always pursuing that which will improve healthcare for our countrymen. This is my pervasive vision for Rizal Med, whether it be a surgeon, chief training officer, CMPS, or medical center chief, as long as I know and realize that I have something significant to contribute, my work continues for the glory of God. I hope that you were able to pick up some key lessons as I shared my story. Let me highlight some of them. I learned that first, pursuing one's dream is a journey laced with obstacles and challenges that help polish the rough edges of our character. That as we deal with and overcome each one, we become more equipped to face the next. Second, being faithful, available, and teachable are the key character traits that will help us succeed and prosper. Being faithful at every task given to us, being available when we are needed, and being teachable gives us an opportunity to learn new things daily, regardless of our stature. So be fat, FAT, every day. And lastly, God is the author and perfecter of our lives. He will guide, direct, and promote you according to His purpose in His time. Let me share Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. My prayer is that you will find your niche in our surgical community and that you will be a fellow servant in our pursuit to improve the healthcare system in our country. Thank you once again for this privilege. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lumage. I hope our clerks and interns are inspired by Dr. Lumage's talk. She is a graduate of the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila Medical Center College of Medicine message. So for our next speaker, perhaps he may need no introduction, but I will do my best to introduce him. So our next speaker is Dr. Reynaldo Hoson. He graduated from the University of the Philippines College of Medicine and obtained his general surgery residency training at the Philippine General Hospital. He obtained his master's in hospital administration from UP Manila College of Public Health, master's in health profession education at the UP National Teacher Training Center for Health Profession, and Master of Science in Clinical Medicine, General Surgery at the UP Manila College of Medicine. So he is a diplomate of the Philippine Board of Surgery and a fellow of the Philippine College of Surgeons. He is a consultant in various institutions at the PGH, Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center, Medical Center Manila, and Manila Doctors Hospital. So among his many achievements, he is an examiner from 1984 to 1997 of the Philippine Board of Surgery, a Mamadi Sudavar Memorial Fellowship, traveling fellowship for study in cancer centers from July to December in 1984. He is a faculty of the UP College of Medicine, and a training officer of the Department of Surgery at Manila Doctors Hospital from 1985 to 1987, where he was also the Assistant Medical Director from 1989 to 2009. So he was the chief of the Division of Head and Neck, Breast, Esophagus, and Soft Tissue Surgery at the Department of Surgery at PGH from 1994 to 2000, and our very esteemed chairperson of the Department of Surgery at Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center from 2001 to 2009, where he still remains to be our chairman emeritus up to this day. So back in 1986, he was the Department of Surgery Hall of Fame. He obtained the Department of Surgery Hall of Fame for surgical consultants and was instrumental in the creation of the first head and neck surgical oncology fellowship, the first surgical oncology fellowship in the country in 1990. And he was awarded the UP College of Medicine Alumni Society Outstanding Educator Award in 2003. So among his many, many awards, he was instrumental in the department getting the Asian Hospital Management Awards Knowledge Management System in 2004 and the Asia Corporate Social Responsibility Awards Conducive Practice Program in 2005. Amongst this, he was also awarded the Philippine Society of Oncology Most Outstanding Teacher in Oncology in 2006. So to add to the numerous awards, he was instrumental in giving the department. He was the chairman when the department won the Anvil Award for Holistic Corporate Social Responsibility Program in 2005. So he was the UP Manila Centennial Professorial Chair Award in 2008 and Exemplary Alumni Award of the Xavier Kwang Chi School in 2013 and also the Exemplar Award from the Manila Doctors Hospital in 2015. He also obtained the UP Alumni Society Lifetime Distinguished Achievement Award in 2015 and the UP College of Medicine Distinguished Alumnus Award in 2019. So he was also recognized for his pioneering efforts in Zamboanga Medical School Foundation, now known as Ateneo de Zamboanga University School of Medicine in 2019. And most recently, he was awarded the Philippine Medical Association Dr. Jose P. Rizal Memorial Award in the Academe category in 2020. So again, perhaps this doctor needs no introduction, but I am very honored to welcome him to our conference today, Dr. Reynaldo Hoson.
My general surgery residency in the Philippine General Hospital, 1976 to 1981. This is a talk to inspire aspiring general surgeons as well as a memoir. This was prompted by a request by the 2022 Training Committee of the Department of Surgery of Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center on March 14, 2022 to give an inspirational message to the residents through a narration of my experiences in surgical residency, the trials, and how I managed to cope. This narration may well serve as my short memoir containing slivers of experiences during my general surgery residency in the Philippine General Hospital. First, why did I decide to go into general surgery for my specialty training? After passing the Philippine Board of Medicine in 1975 and serving the mandatory 6 months of rural medical service in Jumalik Island, Quezon Province, I decided to go into a general surgery residency training program starting 1976. My rationalization consisted of the following. My perception was that I could accomplish more tangible results with surgical management than non-surgical management. My thinking was that I could learn the non-surgical management, such as the specialty of internal medicine, by self-study. My stint in the rural medical service in Jumalig Island also prodded me to go for general surgery specialty after I experienced helplessness when I would encounter patients with surgical conditions. Why general surgery? I like its broadest coverage among the surgical specialties in terms of the number of organ or organ affectation that I could treat. During my time, a general surgeon was really a general surgeon, an all-around surgeon, and a jack of all trades who could manage practically all types of surgical conditions, including those in the subspecialties of neurosurgery, urology, thoracic surgery, etc. There was only a few fellowship programs in subspecialties yet, and we had a good amount of training in the subspecialties. The above were my personal reasons for going into general surgery. I believe nobody can or should question or criticize my reasons, as I am entitled to a freedom of perception and choice. Ask any surgeons why they took up general surgery or any subspecialty for that matter. For sure, there will be different answers, some totally different from mine, and some may have little similarities as mine. Whatever they are, I will not question the reasons. As I said, everybody is entitled to a freedom of perception and choice. You current general surgical residents, I have no doubt you have your own reasons, varied and different from each other. I maintain my position. I will not question your reasons as you are entitled to a freedom of perception and choice. Note, however, there is an exception to my principle of freedom of perception and choice. There will be a time in which your reasons for going into general surgery will be asked, scrutinized, and weighed as to appropriateness and significance, if not validity. This is the time when one is applying for a general surgery residency position in a hospital, and one is competing with other applicants for an appointment. As I said, your reasons will be asked and scrutinized. Then your reasons will be compared with those of the other applicants. There will be balancing and comparative weighing of reasons in terms of appropriateness and significance, if not validity. This balancing and comparative weighing of reasons for going into a general surgery program among different applicants may have points in the decision for appointment or no acceptance. Outside of the application for general surgery residency setting, as I said, nobody will question your reasons. However, at the end of the day, one should make a self-introspection on whether the reasons are valid or not. The introspection can be done anytime after starting the general surgery residency program such as in the early stage, first or second year, midway, such as third year, and even at the end, last year, or on graduation day. One is free to adjust the reasons if one sees some flaws in the validity. After adjusting the reasons and after correcting the flaws in validity, one is free to decide whether there was a regret or still no regret in going into general surgery. Probably the flaws in validity are minor. If there is a regret, one is also free to decide whether to quit the program or to finish the program with perseverance and adjustments. Again, there is this freedom of perception and choice. In my case, my introspection during my residency years showed validity in my three reasons. I had no regrets whatsoever, and I was determined to complete my residency program with flying colors. With flying colors. When did I start and finish my general surgery residency in the Philippine General Hospital? The answer is July 1976 to June 1981. So this was a 5-year program. What were the memorable experiences that I had? I can categorize it into two. One, hardship and challenges, and two, achievements with flying colors. For the hardship and achievements, general surgery residency training in PGH was not easy, but surmountable. I believe general surgery training in other hospitals was not at that time and will not up to the present time be easy, but it was and will be surmountable as long as one has the discipline and perseverance. During surgery residency in PGH, my hardship and challenges can be categorized into at least the following: workload, patient care, which include patient care and administrative and clerical tasks. Number two, presenting in conferences, both sectional and departmental. Study to pass sectional and departmental examinations. Researches, management of consultants, seniors, peers, subordinates, and colleagues in other departments. And the last hardship and challenge is the management of logistical needs in patient care and in training. For the first hardship and challenge, workload. Workload consisted of patient care services, which include patient rounds, patient consultations, operations, and administrative by the senior residents, and clerical tasks by the junior residents. Tremendous was the patient care services that the officially declared 24-hour duty every 3 days could not be implemented as 24 hours, but was stretched to 48 hours or even more. PGH has a 1,000 bed capacity excluding private wards at the time of my training. The Department of Surgery had officially 200 service beds assigned to it, but expandable when the allotted beds were fully occupied. There were 10 operating rooms for major cases and 5 for outpatient cases. The 1980 census, I was there from 1976 to 1981, showed more than 1,000 operations were being done per month about 480 major operations, and about 520 minor operations. Emergency room consultations was about 3,000 per month. Outpatient consultation was about 1,600 per month in the general clinic and about 1,500 per month in the specialty clinics. The number of residents per year averaged 34, inclusive of the straight residents in the subspecialties. The average number of residents per general surgery service, we had 3 services, GS1, GS2, and GS3. The average number was 5 with from different levels of residents, usually 2 first years, 1 to 2 vice chiefs, and 1 chief. Official 24-hour duty schedule was every 3 days, but oftentimes, as mentioned, duty extended to 48 hours or even more. I personally experienced this workload hardship that I decided to stay in the dorm in PGH for the full 5 years of my residency. I had no time to go home in Quezon City. It was good I was not married yet, no divided attention to wife and children. This workload hardship is still present today, this year, 2022. My son is now on his 4th year general surgery residency in PGH. He is experiencing the same thing. No such thing as the 24-hour duty every 3 days, but 48 hours duty every 3 days in reality. I believe this workload hardship is still present, is also present in other hospitals. How did I cope with this workload hardship? Perseverance and discipline. Or should I say, discipline, then perseverance, in the midst of a resolve to complete the training program so as to become a general surgeon. Beside discipline and perseverance, I looked at the positive side of the workload, particularly on the patient care service. More patients seen and operated on, more training and learning acquired. As to the second hardship and challenge presenting in conferences, both sectional and departmental, no residents would be exempted from presenting in weekly conferences, both sectional and departmental. Sectional conferences would include weekly service census of patients, pre-op and post-op conferences, morbidity and mortality audits, and other conferences like case presentations and case discussions and lectures. Department conferences would include predominantly morbidity and mortality audits, and at times lectures. The challenges that I had with presenting in conferences were these. 1, I had stage fright at the extreme degree. And 2, I had the fear of being roasted and humiliated, especially during morbidity and mortality audit conferences. For the stage fright, I mitigated this by doing researches, then orally presenting them in research contests, in surgical forum, residence nights, and Philippine College of Surgeons conventions. Note, these research paper presentations were done during my residency years. I completed 5 research papers with 13 oral presentations. Somehow, I mitigated my stage fright with my frequent oral presentations. But to tell you honestly, I still have it up to this time. For the fear of being roasted and humiliated during morbidity and mortality audit conferences, I mitigated this by being vigilant in my patient care and in my operations, in avoiding morbidities, particularly the glaring ones, and mortalities, particularly the unjustifiable ones. I recall I most likely presented only in around 5 morbidity and mortality conferences. The other ways that I used to mitigate being roasted and humiliated were: number one, presenting the data and information in a clear and concise manner. Number two, explaining fully and honestly the circumstances that led to the morbidities and mortalities. And three, admitting right away the flaws in my management. Third hardship and challenge: study to pass sectional and departmental examinations. We didn't have the residence in training examinations or right that you have today, but we had regular sectional and departmental examinations. I strived my best by studying the Schwartz textbook of surgery to pass all the examinations as I wanted to graduate. I succeeded. The fourth hardship and challenge: researches. Researches by residents were required for graduation, but this rule was not strictly enforced. Just the same, I invested time and efforts in doing researches and presenting them as early as 1977 at the end of my first year. I saw the importance of researches in improving my knowledge on a certain topic and in improving my credentials as a surgical resident and after graduation. Again, being aware of the importance, making a resolve, and then implementing the plan with discipline and perseverance were my strategies. I will present my research accomplishment later as one of my achievements with flying colors. The fifth hardship and challenge: dealing with people such as consultants, seniors, peers, subordinates when you are already seniors, and colleagues in other departments was also a challenge that had to be managed during my residency. This was also true for everybody in the department and also true up to now and will forever be around in any organizations. My strategies in managing this challenge consisted of: one, following rules in the department and hospitals; two, obeying people in authority and in the upper hierarchy; three, respecting people at all levels in the hierarchy; four, being cordial; fifth, managing the personality and particularly the consultants and seniors by adjusting to their mindsets and moods. The sixth and the last hardship and challenge, which is management of logistical needs in patient care and in training. In any government hospital, there would be the frequent challenge of lack of logistics, both in patient care and in training. Rarely did I have to spend my money for patient care needs, as my salary was only 600 to 700 pesos per month. I resorted to the next available options or alternative in terms of availability of resources in patient management if I could not innovate to provide or patient cannot afford the first option. I controlled, meaning not done rampantly and done judiciously, the popular practice of Robin Hood style of accumulating and storing needed medical supplies for use by subsequent needy patients. For example, I justified my overprescribing a little of sutures and intravenous fluids by saying that I could not predict exactly how many would be used. I prescribed under a contingency basis. If there were unused prescribed medical supplies, I kept them for use by subsequent needy patients. To support my training needs, however, I saved money from the 600 to 700 pesos per month salary that I was getting to buy a camera to take pictures of surgical specimens and other teaching materials, and also a slide projector. This facilitated my lecturing to medical students and also in my researches. The next category of memorable experience is the achievement with flying colors. I had a resolve from the very start to make the best out of my training to become a well-trained general surgeon. I was competing with myself through discipline and perseverance. I was not competing with my co-residents. Case in point, I did not aspire to be a chief resident. I actually did not like the job. Fortunately, I was not appointed. My two most memorable achievements with flying colors, which I am proud up to this day, were the following: researches, paper presentations, and publications. That's number one. And number two, creation of the Philippine Stoma Association. For the researches, paper presentations, and publication, I was heavily involved in this research paper presentation and publications. As I said, I perceive the importance of researches in improving my knowledge on a certain topic and in improving my credentials as a surgical resident and after graduation. Here are my accomplishments during my residency. I completed 5 research papers. I had a total of 13 oral presentations in the department's surgical forum, Philippine College of Surgeons Residence Nights, Philippine College of Surgeons conventions, and in the postgraduate course of the PGH Department of Orthopedics on my last year. I had 5 research awards for my 4 papers. I had 6 published papers with 1 published internationally. As to the creation of the Philippine Stoma Association, I was proud to be the person behind the establishment of the Philippine Stoma Association, which was the first colostomy club or support group in the Philippines. When I was rotating in the section of colorectal surgery and when I was still a resident. With this project, I initiated the training of ostomy nurses in the Philippines, the first of its kind in the country, the so-called enterostomal therapists. Also, I had my first international publication, Problems and Rehabilitations of Filipino Stoma Patients. That was the title. That's it. That's my memoir as a general surgical resident in PGH from 1976 to 1981, written, narrated with the objectives to inspire young general surgical residents of the Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center Department of Surgery in 2022. I have shared with you my hardship and challenges and how I manage them. I have also shared with you my achievements that I was very proud of. I hope I have achieved the objective of the task requested of me by the OMMC Surgery Training Committee with flying colors. And most important, I hope I have inspired you, young general surgical residents of OMMC Surgery. Wishing all of you the best in your journey to become a well-trained general surgeon. Mabuhay!
So this is actually a two-part presentation. As usual, Dr. Hoson has given us more than what is expected, always with flying colors. That's why many of our consultants look up to him as their mentor during their residency days. So it was inspiring and refreshing to know that Dr. Hoson also had to go through several struggles as he went on his surgical residency training. So for the next part of his presentation,
my professional life after residency in the Philippine General Hospital in the aspect of private practice. This is a talk to inspire aspiring general surgeons. This was prompted by a request by the 2022 Training Committee of the Department of Surgery of Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center on March 14, 2022 to give an inspirational message to the residents through a narration of my experience in surgical residency, the trials, and how I managed to cope up to private practice. I have done a narration on my general surgery residency in PGH. This is the second part on my private practice. This narration may well serve as my short memoir on my private practice. I officially completed my 5 years of general surgery residency training program in the Philippine General Hospital in June 1981. From July 1976 to June 1981, 5 years. Right after I went to the United States to spend a few weeks of observership in Cleveland Clinic and in Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. While there, I initially thought of going into fellowship or residency again if necessary. I studied for the U.S. medical licensing examination. I think I passed the part 1. However, in October 1981, I was forced to go to Taiwan to fetch my father, who suffered a stroke when he went there for a vacation. By November 1981, I was back in the Philippines. Thereafter, I decided to stay in the Philippines for good and to start my private practice. I considered two options: provincial and or Manila, or both. Provincial or Manila practice, or both. I am from Cabanatuan City, which was just 3 hours from Manila, and my parents and some brothers and sisters still live there. We also have a residence in Metro Manila. I explored on the options. Eventually, by December 1981, I made a decision to accept an invitation from Dr. George Eufemio, my mentor, to be part of the consultant staff of the PGH Department of Surgery, specifically GS1, or section of head and neck and breast surgery. To establish or kick off my private practice, I rented a clinic space in the PDC building across PGH. I would receive referrals from contemporaries, PGH medical colleagues, and PGH institutional workers. At that time, there was already a private section in PGH, although only with a few beds and very limited number of operating rooms for private patients. Thus, I started doing my private operations in PGH, and later on, I would bring patients to Manila Medical Center, now Manila Med, starting late 1982, and to Manila Doctors Hospital eventually. So my private clinics were located in the following places: across PGH along Taft Avenue, initially PDC building, then later on Fatima building. I eventually gave this up circa 1995. Second clinic, Medical Center Manila. I bought stocks late 1982 after 1 year of private practice. But again, eventually I gave my clinic up in 1995. Third clinic that I had, Manila Doctors Hospital. I bought stocks in 1984. I am maintaining this clinic up to now, 2022. Starting 1995 up to the present, 2022, that's 27 years, I already have delimited my private clinics or my private practice in just one hospital, that is the Manila Doctors Hospital, and holding clinics only 3 times a week. I repeat, just 3 times a week for the past 27 years. The height of my private practice in terms of number of operations performed was from 1982 to 1989. That's about 6 years, as I did a 6-month traveling fellowship in foreign countries in 1985. I had an average of 330 operations per year. This may be an overestimation, and it included the private and charity operations. After 1989, the census dropped dramatically, but I still was doing an average of 120 operations per year up to 2014. From 2014 to 2019, before the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. So during this time, I was in a semi-retirement mood already, as I retired at age 65 in 2014 from government institutions like the UP Manila and Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center. The average of my operation was just 100 per year, or even less. There was an evident reason for the drop starting 1990. The reason was personal choice, a personal decision. Starting 1989, I decided to do outreach or out-of-town educational programs for hospitals such as DOH provincial hospitals under the UP College of Medicine Postgraduate Institute of Medicine project from 1989 to 1991, and my distance education in surgery program in Zamboanga City Medical Center from 1991 to 1997, for medical schools such as Ateneo de Zamboanga University School of Medicine, Southwestern University College of Medicine in Cebu, Bicol Christian College of Medicine in Bicol from 1993 to 2005, and for hospitals such as Ciudad Medical Zamboanga in 2009 and 2013 to 2014, Zamboanga City Medical Center 2016, and Salubris Medical Center in Nueva Vizcaya in 2016. Starting 1989, I placed more importance to my personal program dubbed as Education for Health Development in the Philippines program. I have found it more fulfilling than earning money from private practice. I decided in 1989 that I would not be a slave to money, a slave to private practice. So private practice took the back seat. My outreach educational program is still going on up to now, but more on online and no more out of town travel. But with my out of town travels, I have accepted the repercussion that I have to compromise the availability factor for establishing and sustaining a private practice. This explains the drop in my number of operations starting 1990. Before I give my specific advice on private practice based on my personal experiences, I'd like to give you some general introductory pointers or principles first, which I have applied to myself, as you shall see later on. Why establish a private practice, medical practice in the Philippines? The reasons that I usually give is to earn a living in the Philippines and also to contribute to the health development of a community in the Philippines. What should be the goal in establishing a private medical practice in the Philippines? One, the goal should be a satisfied, happy, and healthy private medical practitioner in the Philippines. The second goal is earning enough to be a healthy person and to enjoy and sustain a comfortable living with frugal lifestyle in the Philippines. Third goal is happy in terms of satisfaction of earning enough and contributing to the health development in a community in the Philippines. And the last goal, healthy in terms of sustaining a physical, mental, and social well-being for as long as possible, or at least up to the average lifespan of a Filipino living in the Philippines, which is 70 years old. What are the decisions that you as a medical practitioner have to make with regards to the place of medical practice? One, decide on the place of your medical practice in consideration of the following: your chances of achieving the goal of a medical practitioner, which is to be satisfied and to be happy and to be healthy. Presence of facilities to support your intended medical field of practice. Presence of people to support your intended medical field of practice. Number of practitioners of your chosen medical field in the community. The degree of your missionary, I repeat, missionary tendency. And the last decision will be your tendency for a certain lifestyle and certain type of living environment and atmosphere. Here now are my more specific personal advice on establishing and sustaining a private practice, which consists of the following. Number one, credentials. Be at least a Philippine Board of Surgery certified general surgeon. Number two, availability. Be constantly physically present and available in your hospitals and clinics of practice, and be easily reachable at a moment's notice through your cell phone and Viber for referrals and consultations. And then good to excellent reputation of the following traits. Number one, professionalism. At least no reputation of being discourteous, to patients and medical colleagues, and being an no reputation of being unethical in the practice of surgery. A trait of competence, a good trait of reputation for a competence, at least no reputation of too many unacceptable morbidities and mortalities. Better still, if there is an add-on reputation of extraordinary skills, operating skills. Approachable, at least a reputation of easy to talk to and easy to request reasonable favors from. The last trait which I would like to emphasize that one should have a reputation of is being compassionate. At least a reputation of having the emotion that feels in response to the suffering of your patients, whatever types, both physically and financially. And this emotion motivates within a desire to help in whatever way, big or small, particularly financially. So these are my more specific personal advice in establishing and sustaining a private practice in surgery or in any specialty for that matter. For me, the above contributed greatly to my so-called great practice from 1982 to 1989, a good 6 years until I shifted based on my personal decision to my education for health development in the Philippine program, thereby sacrificing availability, promoting factor to which I don't have any regret up to now. There are other advice or tips that I have to share to the young surgical residents that have helped promote and sustain my private practice. One, although referrals from colleagues help a lot in establishing and developing your private practice, the long-term or sustaining factor is a referral from patients whom you have treated. If they like you for whatever reasons, they will remember you and will refer the relatives and friends to you. In my practice, especially after 1989, the source of my referrals has been mainly from relatives and patients of former patients. Relatives and friends, I mean, of former patients. Number two, explaining and advising patients and relatives. I have this habit of explaining clearly from clinical diagnosis to indications for paraclinical diagnostic procedures to treatment options and to health maintenance. The patients and relatives like this, and in the process, they will like you. Giving patients a copy of clinic notes and other notes that contain explanations. I have this habit also. Again, the patients and relatives like this, and in the process will like you. No queuing, no long waiting time in the clinic. I started this in 2015 with a structured appointment system. I make sure patients will not wait for more than 60 minutes from the book appointment time in my clinic. My batting average was 99% success from my 2015 to 2019 before the COVID-19 lockdown. The patient and relatives appreciate this. No queuing, no long waiting time. Praying for them and with them. In 2019, I started this practice of praying for and with my patients before every operation. Before 2019, especially for those with terminal diseases, I would tell them that I will pray for them. The patients and the relatives appreciate this. Giving your cell phone numbers so that you can be reached when needed. The patients and relatives appreciate this. So far, only rarely did I encounter an abuse of the use of cell phones in contacting me. There are other innovative things that I have been doing under my patient-centered care management program. When you say patient-centered care program, it is the practice of caring for patients and their relatives in ways that are meaningful and valuable to the individual patient. It includes listening, informing, and involving patients in their care. I recommend that you look at my Facebook and other blogs. I will provide you with the links if you are really interested. Just contact me. So that's all for now. That's my memoir for my private practice. I think I am justified to write this memoir now because I am semi-retired from private practice and may be completely retiring as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. I have stopped holding clinic and operating for more than 2 years now. My last clinic and operation was on March 15, 2020, a day before the declaration of the nationwide lockdown. However, I have been doing telemedical consultation since March 17, 2020 up to now. That was 2 days after the lockdown. So on this note, I hope I have achieved the objective of the task requested of me by the OMMC Surgery Training Committee. And most important, I hope I have inspired you, young general surgery resident of OMMC Surgery. Wishing you all the best in your journey to become a well-trained general surgeon and in the future, your private practice. Mabuhay!
Thank you very much, Dr. Hoson, for needless to say, a very inspiring message to our surgery residents, and to as well as the young consultants or and to the consultants who are currently engaged in private practice right now. I am reminded of what Dr. Guerra always says, that at one point in your career, you will realize that there's something more than money to make you happy. And I'm glad to say that the residents are still being trained via the Hosonic way, as we say. And to give the floor to one of your most ardent disciples, if I may say, may I welcome Dr. Jeffrey Guerra, our chairman, to give a testimonial for Dr. Hoson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aubrey. Aubrey texted me last night, and also Glenn, to give me the task to react for Dr. Hoson's speech, and content. And I know that when I received that call, it will be very daunting and hard for me to put words to what I feel, really. And as I always tell the residents, we were trained by Dr. Hoson and Dr. Pinserga to hand to you down all the traits that's needed to be a good surgeon or to be a good doctor. So first of all, I also asked my contemporaries, I see Dr. De Guzman there, Dr. Siwais is also there. I also saw Joma. These are the group of people that has really directly influenced by Dr. Hoson. So when we were residents back then, as I can sum it up, I have known Dr. Hoson for almost 20 years now. And this is only the time that I came into a realization that ngayon ko lang na rin yung very specific from how you deal with the rigors of surgery up to how you establish your practice. This is a very detailed Hosonic way to put it, to inspire all of you. So, as a matter of fact, when we became active consultants at OMMC, and we attended different conferences like your Philippine Association of Training Officers in Surgery, that some of the programs now were actually being done by the Department of Surgery when we were resident. That's back to 2003 or 2004. We already had our distance learning program. At the height of a dial-up internet connection, we also have that. We also have the residence portfolio, being our requirement for promotion. So if you Google our names right now, you can see our outputs during 2004 to 2008. And from there, I was a part of Dr. Hoson's vision. Ito ang pinaka-important for a chairman or administrator, to have a complete tunnel vision of what you want to do 5-10 years from now. And I was also part of the team that was awarded the Asian Hospital Management Award, the Anvil Awards. These are the golden days of OMMC. And up until this point, I am really, really grateful that Dr. Hoson has trained us the way we should be trained during that time. And always remember that the cornerstone of being a successful resident is what Dr. Hoson have said a while ago. That is being disciplined and resilient. Okay? So you just have to do it. The system of training in the Philippines and probably on the Western world is the same. Nandiyan yung sistema, the patient load, The only difference are the people being trained. And in all honesty, we are sandwiched between yung dating hierarchy ng surgery up to this point that we are now transitioning to your conducive practice environment, safe working environment, your well-being. So we have to really determine a thin line, between these two, so as to have a good graduates at OMMC. Okay? With regards to your practice, I also agree with what Dr. Hoson has said earlier, that there are stages in your practice. I dub it as my first decade, second decade, and third decade of your practice. The first decade of your practice will be more of investing on yourself, investing financially, investing on your colleague. And then the second part of your stage of your surgical life is to pump on legacy. So we have to be very holistic, not just as a successful practitioner, but more so as a community leader, a trainer, a researcher. Ito yung kailangan nating i-achieve. So all in all, we have to have a planned approach in everything that we do. We have to categorize everything and specify our goals and how to achieve them properly. Along the way, there will be bumps in the road, but with all your foundation, from your med school, from your early days of training, there's no doubt that you will be a successful surgeon in the future. So again, if I can ask Dr. De Guzman, Dr. Wise, and Joma to add on what I have said, I will be appreciating them.
Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Guerra. Dr. De Guzman, if you may give a few words, sir.
Yeah, nice to see Dr. Hoson again, sir. Good morning, sir. Well, agree with Dr. Hoson has said kanina, no? Nobody said it was easy by the scientists, no? But with Dr. Hoson's, nung ako resident, no? With Dr. Hoson's guidance, no? We surmount the hardship of being a resident in surgery. Another is for the residents, no? We take it year by year level yan, no? Hindi kayo mag-stay dyan, first year kayo for a long time. Isang taon lang yan, first year. Isang taon na second year. But with Dr. Hoson's advice kanina, do it with flying colors. Always achieve excellence, no? Yun lang naman para malusutan nyo year per year level. Take it year, one day at a time, no? Ang pagiging resident sa GS, although 5 years tayo, hindi yan mahaba. So, in a blink of an eye, tapos na kayo in 5 years. And then, ang pagiging resident, hindi magtatapos doon kasi, no? Yun din, kailangan recognize kayo ng society. So, utang na loob nyo sa institution nyo na kayo ay maging diplomate, maging recognized surgeon one day. No, balik yan kasi hindi ang institution ng Hospital ng Maynila, just like any other training programs, kailangan nila na ang kanilang graduates ay maging recognized. No? Hindi tayo diploma mill. No, hindi tayo diploma mill. We want our residents to be recognized surgeons in the Philippines. Not only in the Philippines actually, in the whole world kung maaari lang. So, yun. Ang dami kong natutunan kay Dr. Hoson. Hindi ko makakalimutan yung PMP. Still, ayan, explaining to the patient by using the patient management process. I was able to explain concise, precise to my patients and relatives kung ano ang diagnosis ko, management plan ko sa pasyente. And a very limited time, tama si sir. No, hindi mag-aantay ng matagal ang pasyente sa clinic. Well, yun lang. Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Hoson, for all the guidance, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. De Guzman. If I may also welcome Dr. Wise Pedialva. Good morning po, ma'am. If you may kindly give us a few words during your residency.
Hello.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, doctors. Good morning, mga sir. Good morning, Dr. Hoson, Dr. Benserga. Actually, in addition lang to what I said in my pre-recorded message, ang secret siguro is you have to be intentional in everything that you do. Hindi yung ginagawa mo lang ng bikahon. You should know why you are doing something. Yung reason behind yung want mo to become a surgeon for entering the training program. Hindi pwedeng yung dahil na-impluwensyahan ka lang, hindi pwedeng yun yung uso. You really have to want it. Kasi otherwise, lahat ng bagay magiging mahirap kahit yung pinaka-simple will be very hard for you to accomplish. Yun lang, yung in addition lang to the pero yung mga system, you have to imbibe yung mga tinuturo talaga ng consultant kasi marirealize mo lang siya when you go out. Marirealize mo na when you observe yung practice ng ibang doctors, makikita mo kung gaano kaiba yung tinuro sa atin dyan sa Hospital ng Maynila. It's really very different and you'll feel very proud talaga na ganito yung tinuro sa'yo and ganito yung pina-practice mo. And you will go a long way. Basta lang, alam mo yun, wag masyadong sensitive, kumbaga, no? Syempre, iba na yung way ng thinking ng bagong generation. Pero, yung puso ng pagiging surgeon, yung puso ng pagiging OMMC surgeon, dapat laging nandun. Yun lang. Thank you very much then, Sir Dr. Hoson, and to all my seniors and other consultants. Salamat po. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for all that you've taught me. I really appreciate it, sir. Nagagamit ko po talaga lahat ngayong practice ko.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much po,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Pedrialva. And lastly, can we hear from Dr. Malabanan, sir? Good morning po.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. Hello, good morning. First, I would like to thank all my seniors, my senior consultants, my bosses, Wise and I, and together with Mike Stunyas, we all practice here in Calamba, and we're proud to say that that we are living with the thinking of the teachings of our seniors, una muna pasyente, saka na yung pera, tapos always use the patient management process in treating your patient, Then the main topic I think here is about how to manage the residency training, So if you're going to in addition, all of you have their own stress relievers, for the residents who are already, because during that time I was already married, and second year I was already married and had my first son. So during that time my family was my inspiration. So in your residency training, find an inspiration, then always look back to your roots, always be thankful to them. I'm very thankful to my seniors, because of most of the techniques that we usually use came from them. And yun, talagang sobrang thankful ako sa mga bosses, sa consultants natin. As I remember it, pagka sa resident, no, magkaroon kayo ng bonding, no. During that time, nagbabike kami sa sa Roas Boulevard. May mga time na nagja-jogging din. May mga time na malapit na yung summer, no. Dr. Hodson, if I can remember, nakapunta pa kami sa
Anilaw.
sa Anilaw, no. Si Sir nagano pa yan, talaga inaasikaso kami niyan sa I remember the buko. Yung buko, masarap na buko sa Batangas, no. So, try to balance everything. Then again, yung holistic surgeon, no, laging pumapasok sa isipan ko yon. Yon yung kasi when you are on your own, marami kang pwedeng puntahan eh. You can be a businessman, you can be a teacher, you can be a researcher, you can be yung pwedeng maging head ka ng hospital, pwede kang maging marami pwedeng mangyari. Pero from as you practice, no, isipin mo lagi parang may kulang. So laging kailangan kasama diyan pagiging service oriented. So yun lang naman po. Then God bless and good luck to our residents. Service oriented, God fearing, importante po yun. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you po, Dr. Malabanan. Before we wrap up today's event, if I may ask for a few words from one of our esteemed guests, Dr. Hoson.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for this honor and privilege to be part of this program. I really appreciated this program and give importance to it. That's why I really prepared for it, and then I made sure that I attend it from start to finish. And this program really touched me in 2 or 3 ways. Number one, hearing the sharing of my former residents, specifically Wise, Celso, Jeffy, Janix, and Joma, who have who have shared their experiences here. Okay. I was forced to think back, reminisce the days when I was training them. Okay. Of course, I'm proud of their achievements, of their years in the Department of Surgery. I know how they perform. But the main question I was when I was listening to their sharing is that did I really train them well? Okay. Although this is a talk to inspire the surgical residents, but as a mentor, hearing the sharing from the former residents, I now ask myself, did I really train them well? No? Okay. So this is a self-evaluation on my part. No? Okay. So I think modesty aside, I would like to say that I am happy, okay, with what I heard, okay, and I think they have turned out to be well-trained surgeons. That's good enough for me. Okay. So after hearing their testimonial. Number two, the way how I was touched by this program is that just like Dr. Penserga says, Egay, no, this project is really laudable. Okay, it's innovative. Okay, so as Egay mentioned, you rarely see such a program. Okay, so I'd like to congratulate the training committee, and of course the chairman being the guide in this particular program. Okay, so I would suggest that probably you continue on with this project. Okay, since at this time this is the first launching or so-called launching, Okay, and it's documented. Okay, it's probably because of your live recording. It's also in the internet. Okay, so practically, or I would assume that all the residents, okay, at least all the residents in the Department of Surgery of OMMC have seen this, okay, have heard about it, no? And then this will force them to reflect on it. And then probably next year, you just present it to the incoming first year, just to have a continuity of this laudable project, okay? And then to make a second series, probably after 5 years, you invite another series of 3 or 2 to give the same talk, same title, same objective. Okay, so as I said, this is a laudable project. Okay, and I am proud of it that the present administrative staff of the Department of Surgery is doing their very best, and then okay, actually, honestly, I've seen a lot of these programs being innovative programs being projected in the internet already. Okay, unlike the other departments. Now, okay, so this is a program of the Department of Surgery, the resident staff, not the department consultants. Okay, okay. So now the third one is I'd like to say that I have to confess that I really learned. As I said, I stayed on because I want to learn something, and also, okay, see if to do some self-evaluation, what happened, and also to learn from the other. I just learned about the speakers, the 2 other speakers last night. It's Wise and Lumagi. Okay, okay. So I'm happy to hear their inspirational talk also. I learn from them, not only as a surgeon in my twilight years, but also as a former mentor. Okay. Okay. Although I said former mentor, but I have to confess that I'm still actively teaching. Okay. Although more on the online. Okay. So in my twilight years, probably I will continue on to teach using the online media, okay, trying to inspire the young residents. Okay, okay. So so let me close this by saying congratulations to the training committee of OMMC Department of Surgery, and also Dr. Guerra. Keep it up. Keep the torch burning. Okay. So congratulations again. Thank you. Mabuhay kayo lahat.
We
Thank you.
will, Doctor. We will keep the torch burning. And to answer your previous question, if you have trained as well, and I am very honest to say and very proud that we have trained as well, along with Janix, with Wise, with Joman. So thank you very much.
Thank you also, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hoson. I guess a lot of your previous mentees overwhelmingly want to express their gratitude. And so I'd like to call on Dr. Turingan, who would also like to share a few words, sir. Ma'am, good morning po.
Good morning, Dr. Hoson. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the late attendance. My class ended at 4 a.m. So I was really sleepy this morning. I really wanted to attend this from the beginning to the end, because I know Dr. Hoson will be here. As all of you, most of you know, I'm taking a Harvard class, and one of the things that struck me most while I was there is that most of the things, the teaching, the course is training to teach in medicine. And the thing that struck me most is that most of those training technique that they've been teaching us, Dr. Hoson already did 20 years ago when I was still a resident. I remember as a first year, I was struggling to keep up in the program because there's no mentor to help you, to assist you, to guide you. And it's a good thing that when I reached second year, Dr. Hossen came in as the chairman of the department, and he really overhauled the program. He really overhauled the training, the service, the hospital service. He even got us donations to renovate the ward of the hospital, equipments, all these. I was so thankful that here I found someone I can look up to, who can teach me and who can guide me. And when I became chief resident at the end of my residency training, I I realized how much support he has given me. He supported all my decisions. He really gave me the confidence to do what I think is right. And he helped me go into a subspecialty training program in UPPGH. Although at the beginning I wanted to go to Heart Center, but he said, no, you go to UPPGH. And looking back now, of course, it's difficult there. So I was really also in that decision again. I was having a dilemma whether I'm going to stay there or not. Since at that time we ended up with just two residents, and then at the end of my training, it's just one. I'm only one instead of six fellows in the training program. So it's like I'm duty every day. But looking back now, it was a really good training program to be with. I wouldn't trade it for anything else. And now as a teacher, as a mentor for other students, I see how I wanted his legacy to continue. And I always tell this to my students, whether they're first year, second year, third year, or clerks. If you think I am good, it's because my mentor was greater. And I always tell them that Dr. Hoson taught me this, taught me that. And it's true, no? I'm a proud Hosonic. And I think I mentioned this to Sir a few months ago. We were discussing PBL, and now Harvard brought it a little differently from PBL. They went to case-based collaborative learning. But all the feedback that we do, the MAR that we do, it's actually the same. It's just a different name. And I am surprised. It's not something I'm having difficulty with. It's because it's already been taught to me at the onset when I was a resident. And so for that, I'm thankful to Sir. And I love teaching. It's because probably my teacher also loved teaching. My mentor loved teaching. And so this is something I got from him. Being it's not enough that you teach. It's important that the student understands what you teach, and that's something I'm very grateful for. Thank you, sir. Again, thank you for attending our webinar today. I know you're busy, and Dr. Hoson doesn't like, after retirement, he really doesn't like to accept invitations anymore. And so this is really precious. This is really a generous of you, sir, for doing so. Thank you again, and live long, because I need you to be there for me for another 10, 20 years.
I hope.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you very much, Dr. Taringan. So before we end our program, may I call on Dr. Opano, the current Chief Resident, to give a few words of appreciation for our speakers and our attendees.
Good morning, doctors. Good morning, everyone. In behalf of the current residents, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to all our speakers for today, to Dr. Edelweiss Petrialba, Dr. Maria Rica Lumage, and Dr. Reynaldo Hoson, and also to the consultants who shared their own experiences today. The training in the ways of becoming a surgeon, though in different times, has been relatively constant in terms of responsibilities, hardships, and outputs. Hearing them from our seniors was helpful, but hearing them today from truly successful and honorable speakers, as our topic for today states, truly inspirational. And for the journey in this field, discipline, perseverance, compassion, and love for our chosen field has been some of the important traits and the common denominator for success. We hope to duplicate this and continue the legacy as products of Hospital ng Maynila Medical Center General Surgery as Dr. Hosan campaigns with flying colors. Again, thank you po, doctors.
Thank you very much, Dr. Opano. May I call on again Dr. Guerra before we proceed with our closing remarks?
Thank you, Aubrey. For your indulgence, mabilis lang to. I want to read you an excerpt from my favorite author. He's a surgeon trained at New York, during the 60s. So allow me to read this to you for our residents, for our students and consultants as a final note. Okay. I like being a surgeon. I enjoy the challenges of my work, the gratitude of my patients, the satisfaction I get from doing my job well. I wouldn't trade my profession for any other. I think most doctors feel as I do. Otherwise, they'll be doing something else. Because through the practice of medicine is rewarding, it isn't easy. When the phone rings at 2 in the morning and you climb out of bed, dress and drive to the hospital to deliver a baby, treat a coronary or remove an appendix, you're tested. You ask yourself, is there some easier way to make a living? And the answer is, of course, yes. But you don't switch, you don't desert, you don't give up your profession for something else. Because you can't. Once you practice as a physician, you're hooked. No other way of life is as fulfilling. But though doctors are generally speaking dedicated men, they are not saints. And no one, doctor or layman, should regard them as such. They can't live up to the image. No one could. Doctors all have the faults and frailties that membership in the human race implies. The sooner all of us realize this, the sooner we get on with the job of our improving ourselves and our profession. We're doing our job pretty well now. We can certainly do it better. That's it, Aubrey. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Dr. Guerra. Next on, may I call on Dr. Glenn Villanueva, our Assistant Training Officer and the one whose this project was a brainchild of. Good morning, sir, Dr. Villanueva.
Thank you, Aubrey. Speaking in behalf of the OMMC Surgery Training Committee for 2022. First of all, we would like to share our sincere gratitude to our speakers today. Dr. Weiss, the pride of OMMC Surgery. Dr. Lumage, the pride of PLM Medicine. And of course, Dr. Hoson, the pride of surgery in the Philippines. It's always a pleasure having you, sir. Indeed, it was inspiring and heartfelt. As we listen to them deeply, their experiences are unique. The challenges that they encounter varies. The institutions and generations are different. And yet, if you take the context as a whole, they are almost similar. It is the desire and faith to continue and be the best of themselves that kept them going. These are surgeons of focus and determination. They see their future beyond their everyday struggles and tasks. As the saying goes, focus on your goals, not obstacles. Another important character is resilience. Resilience does not only mean that you were able to overcome an obstacle. Since life in medicine and life in general comes with many challenges and hardships. But resilience now can be defined as being prepared to be unprepared. Preparing yourself that there will be challenges ahead of you would entail resilience. Knowing that no matter how hard, it will have a purpose and impact in your life to improve and mature as you go along your journey. Sharing your knowledge and skills is also a key, since we learn as we teach. We hope that this activity opened your eyes and widened your perspective in training for the residents, in medical school, for our clerks and interns, and in the practice of medicine for all of us. Lastly, I would like to share a book entitled Attending Medicine, Mindfulness, and Humanity by Ronald Epstein. If you now were able to overcome your struggles, you were able to achieve your goals, this book will serve as a reminder of your basic role as a physician, being mindful of your patients, surroundings, and preserving your humanity. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Villanueva. So for a message from our training officer, Dr. Maria Cecilia Leson, unfortunately, she is unable to deliver her message via video this morning, but I would like to read to the panel her closing remarks for this morning. Good morning. I would like to thank all of those who attended today's special activity. I hope you were all inspired by our speakers, consultants, especially our residents, postgraduate interns, and junior interns. I hope this will give you a view that being in the medical field, especially in surgery, is hard and challenging, but the rewards are priceless. Your time is besieged by complex challenges, yet the expectations remain the same: to serve your patients to the best of your medical ability. Hopefully, you bear in mind and keep to your heart that which drove those who now have delivered such motivational advices. To Dr. Lumage, thank you very much for agreeing to be one of our speakers. You're one of the treasured professors in PLM College of Medicine. Although we may not have met before, but still, thank you for sharing your experiences with us. To Dr. Pedrialva, thank you, Wise. I am proud of you, seeing all of you, my juniors, prospering in your chosen practice. Nag-subspec man kayo or hindi, nakakataba ng puso. And it's one of my goals in life to see you all fly with confidence, and yet your feet never leave the ground. And to Dr. Hoson, thank you very much for all the lessons I've learned from you. For until these days, it helps me so much in dealing and in my decisions I make for all my patients. And right now, as the training officer of this department, following how you handled us before helped me a lot as well. Thank you again to everyone who has attended this morning's conference. Thank you to all our speakers, our consultants, most especially the residents, the junior interns, and postgraduate interns to whom this activity was made for. We all hope that you were inspired by all our speakers and all our consultants who have given their words this morning. Again, thank you very much, and thank you to all those who have attended. Yes, so I see a request for a group picture from Dr. Hoson. Yes, sir, we will do that. May I request everyone to please turn on their cameras for a group photo?